Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, for many people, one of the biggest hurdles in home archiving: color negative film. It can seem really complex, but I promise, by the end of this, you're going to have the key techniques down to create some amazing digital copies of your family's history.
So let's kick things off with why this is so tough. Unlike just scanning a regular photo, a color negative is, well, negative. It's inverted. But the real curveball is that built-in orange mask. Back in the day, that was perfect for photo labs. But for a modern digital camera, it can totally wreak havoc on your colors and tones. It's a pretty interesting puzzle to solve.
To get a truly clean, professional-looking scan of your film, the very first thing, and honestly, the most critical challenge, is light. If you don't get the light right, pretty much nothing else you do is going to matter. Okay, so your light source has to meet 3 conditions, and these are absolutely non-negotiable. First, it's got to be consistent and perfectly even across the whole negative. No bright spots, no dark spots. Second, it has to be fully diffused. And third, and this is a big one, its color needs to be spot-on accurate. So what exactly do we mean by diffusion? Well, think of it like a lampshade. It's something that softens and spreads out the light. Without it, the individual little LED bulbs in your light panel can actually stamp a pattern right onto your image, which can completely ruin all that fine detail you're trying to capture.
Now, for real color accuracy, your light source needs something called a color rendering index, or CRI, of 95 or higher. This number is so important. If you go with anything less, you're risking capturing weird, inaccurate colors that are basically impossible to fix later, no matter how good you are with editing software.
And finally, you have to create a completely controlled environment. You're going to put the light panel right under the film, make sure you block any and all light that might be leaking from the sides, and, this is a huge one, turn off all the other lights in the room. Any little bit of stray light is going to cause glare and just kill the contrast in your final scan.
All right, so you've got your light dialed in perfectly. Now we hit the next big challenge. How in the world do you hold a tiny, often curled up piece of film totally flat and perfectly still? And this is such a critical question, because film, especially the older stuff, just loves to curl. And even the tiniest little bend across that frame can throw parts of your image out of focus, which completely destroys that edge-to-edge sharpness we're all working so hard to get. So the answer is a really stable and repeatable setup. The gold standard here is a camera mounted on what's called a copy stand, pointing straight down. That makes sure the camera is perfectly parallel to the film. But the real hero of this whole setup is another specialized piece of gear. And that hero is the film holder. I mean, its entire job is to grip the film securely and, most importantly, hold it incredibly flat. This is what guarantees that the whole frame, from one corner to the other, is on the exact same focal plane. That is an absolute must-have for a sharp, high-risk scan. And the good news is, you've got options. There are some really great budget-friendly models out there, like the Essential Film Holder, which is perfect if you're doing a lot of scans. Or you can step up to these super modular Pro systems from companies like Valoy or Negative Supply that give you unbelievable precision for those ultra high-end results.
Okay, so we've solved the light problem and we've figured out how to keep the film flat. The last piece of this puzzle is a surprisingly tricky one, and it's something that trips up a lot of people. Which side of the film should be facing your camera lens?
You know, a strip of film has 2 very different sides. One side is the base. It's really glossy and reflective. The other side is kind of dull and flat. That's the emulsion. The emulsion side is where the image actually lives, where all the light-sensitive chemistry is. And here's a great tip. Film almost always curls toward the emulsion side. So, here it is, the critical point. For the best possible sharpness, all the experts agree that the dull, flat emulsion side has to face the camera lens. Why? Well, because that is the original plane where the image was focused when the photo was first taken. Scanning this side gets you as close as possible to the original detail. And when you do it this way, it means every single image you scan is going to be a mirror image. You know, any text will be backward. But don't worry about it. That's super easy to fix with a single horizontal click in your editing software. The most important thing here is just to be consistent. Scan your whole archive the exact same way. So by mastering these 3 core challenges, getting the light right, keeping the film flat, and getting the orientation right, you're not just taking a picture of a negative anymore. You're actually doing something much, much more significant. So let's just quickly recap that recipe for a perfect scan. 1. Use a diffused high CRI light in a totally dark room. 2. Use a good film holder to make sure that film is perfectly flat. 3. Always scan with the dull emulsion side facing your lens. 4. Shoot in your camera's RAW format. And finally, number 5, remember to flip that image horizontally. When you follow this whole process carefully, the result is what we call an archival master file. And this isn't just a picture. It's a high-quality digital negative that preserves your memories with the closest possible accuracy to the original film. It's basically future-proofing them for generations.
This whole process, it's about giving you the best possible raw material. The next step, that's the post-processing and the color correction. That's where the real magic is going to happen, where you take this flat orange inverted scan and you transform it back into the vibrant, living memory that it was always meant to be.